All right. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast. We are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to recap the Mets versus Guardians series, as well as all the latest news and rumors regarding everything in New York Mets land. But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are recorded live after every single series of games during the regular season. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For those of you in the live chat right now, we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns, all that great stuff. If you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored. You're just going to be starred throughout the show. We'll try to pull up as many as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for Frank's instant post-game reactions after every single regular season game, which are titled the Mets Frankly Post-Game. For those are on audio, make sure to follow us on all your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It would be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 158 of our show. And we have quite the docket for today. I expect a lot of unloading, a lot of ranting, a lot of frustration from whether it's everybody in the chat or just from us. My blood is at a boiling point, Frank. I really am. I'm at a point where I don't know if I even want to ask any more questions because I feel like it just is probably better to just let it be. But is it possible that this could get any worse at all? It just keeps getting worse. You know those people that just tell you, well, it has to get worse before it gets better? Well, it just keeps getting worse. And we are past 100 games right now. So when is that going to get better? It hasn't at all.
No, it really hasn't. It's been very frustrating, and you almost get no hit in a game and almost a game and a half straight of being no hit. So like you said, you actually can't do worse because you did 0, so you can't do less than 0. So I mean, like you said, it can get much worse, especially offensively. And, you know, it is frustrating because, like we always say with the Mets, like they always find a way to lose a game by 1 run. You see it in this series, but it's like the one game they score 6 runs. Oh, but that's the game they gave up 7 runs, you know? So it's just like whatever you get, like the team just gets one more than you. Like, you know, these 1-run losses have just been very, very frustrating. You know, you should have a lot more runs with the opportunities you have, the talent you have, the money you've committed. Like, you should just be scoring more runs to overcome that. But it has just been a huge struggle, and it just, like I said, seems to be getting worse. And this is not the point of the season where you want things to get worse. I mean, you don't want to hit rock bottom, so to speak, in the month of August, because September, like, it's pennant chasing time. You know what I mean? Like, you are trying to make the postseason last month of the season next month. So you need to turn on now, because if you don't turn on, like, you're done. And, you know, with the position they're in right now, they're getting ready to do a series with the team that's the best record in baseball in the Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee, and then face the Braves, who historically they've not done well against. And you are only 3 games ahead for a wild card spot. So there is a chance that if they continue to play this poorly, they could be out of the postseason altogether. So they really they have to get it going now, because if not, they could get left behind. And with expanded playoffs, that would be really embarrassing, because you can't even use the injury excuse. So there really is just no excuse for how poorly they have been playing.
I really have gone beyond the excuses. I'm done with the, well, to be fair, to be this, you know, let's cut them some slack. I'm done. I'm finished. I am done doing that. There is absolutely no way to actually make any excuses for how this team is playing baseball day in and day out. We have said this since day one. This team has been playing awful baseball for a majority of the season. They've had a few decent stretches where they were playing all right, but they really have not clicked on any cylinder, to be honest, all season. And the fact that they are in this certain position where they're 11 games over 500 is a fucking miracle. And I don't even think it's because they are a good team, because they haven't played like a good team all season long. It basically just seems like 5 months of a team just going through the motions, just mailing it in. And it's a pathetic excuse for a $350 million baseball team that is being constantly seen as a contender when we know that this team, day in and day out, doesn't play like one. And it will always go back to, for me, with the offense. Everybody tells me that the pitching staff is too weak and David Stern screwed everything up and he didn't get you any depth and he didn't get any of these guys on the open market. This team is built around offense. That's what it is. It's built around offense. So the offense should be stepping up. The fact that the offense doesn't step up whatsoever, and we constantly get these tiny explosions, maybe once every 10 games, and that's it, and they just completely disappear. It should not be a situation where the highest paid hitter on the team is the worst with runners in scoring position. That should not be that should not be a thing at all, especially when we know what they are capable of. We have been constantly ridiculed, screamed at, cursed out for saying that we're not satisfied with the team in first place being 15 games over 500. I'm not here to take a victory lap. I'm here to say exactly what we are seeing right here. If we don't see something that we like, whether they win or lose, we are going to tell you. Now you are more than 110 games in. So what is the excuse now? We've said this countless of times. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And this is exactly what they are getting. This is the main reason as to why I have not thrown the pitching under the bus at all, because I know what has to step up: the offense, and they haven't. They haven't done it all year long. All year long. And it gets so bad. It gets so bad into a point where this team can score 12 runs, 14 runs in a game, and I will not even crack a smile because I know what's at the end of the rainbow. It's going to be the same inconsistency over and over and over again. So for the fans that are telling me to just be grateful that they have a good win-loss record, where the fuck are you now? It's better to, identify the problems before they become a major problem. Quality of wins matters. It does. And whether that's something that you don't want to hear, and you want to hear that, call us negative Mets fans, you're beyond helping. We've warned you about this all year long. All year long. But we're just them haters, y'all. Just them haters. What else do you want me to, I don't, what else should I say at this point? Because it all just will get completely underlooked. And it's just unicorns and rainbows. That's basically it, as Ray is staying in the chat. Let's get into some of you guys in the chat here, who I'm sure have plenty to say. Matt is in here. Marcus is coming through saying, great to hear from you again, Frank and Carson. Obviously, you can after every single series that they play. Ray saying, salute Carson, new subscriber here. Great to have you on here. Ray is coming here saying, here for therapy. Absolutely. We've got Christopher, finally able to catch another live. Great to have you here, Christopher. JJ is in the chat as well. We've got plenty of people coming through wanting to talk New York Mets, who have been playing a joke of a brand of baseball, let's just say, for at least 2 months now. And, sustainability matters, like we said. And when you don't show the signs of a winning team, those negative signs are going to bleed through. And that's what you're seeing as of right now. They are 11 games over 500. They're 2.5 games out of first place. But where's the end in sight? I mean, at one point we were a half game out, right? One point we were in first place. So how low is this going to get? Why don't we stop it before it happens and actually notice the problems that are on this team? For some reason, nobody can do that. Media still can't even do that. And yes, I'll call out the media right now too. Where's the questions? Because we're not getting answers. I guess it's come a little bit more noticeable. I don't know. I am so out. I'm so out of answers. I'm so out of things to say over and over and over again that this team continues to fall into that I just feel like a broken record. And two, I want to talk about something different, but they don't give me anything. We go where the Mets go. I mean, Frank, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what to say anymore because it's just the same crap we've been talking about since game one of this season before everything got important.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. I mean, anyone who's watching could go back on the Mets Weekly YouTube channel, on my channel, to our April podcast recapping series that happened in April. And the Mets, remember, they had the best pitching in all of baseball, number one in staff ERA, number one ERA overall by a wide margin. And the Mets got to this hot start. They had a really good win-loss record. But while that was happening, they still were towards the bottom with hitting with runners in scoring position. And we say, you know what? It's nice the Mets are winning these close games, 1-0, 2-1, this, that, the other. But man, they really need to start hitting with runners in scoring position because that's something that if that doesn't get cleaned up, it's going to be an issue. The pitching, it can't sustain at this level. I mean, it could be good, but it can't be this great. You need the Harris to step up. Like we said, this is what the payroll has gone into. Like I said, they have a $350 million payroll. Most of it has gone to the hitting, and they spent $765 million on one guy this offseason alone. So they needed the hitting to step up at some point. And we were saying this in April. I mean, you can go back to the episodes and watch it. And everyone in the chat was saying, oh, it's only April. You know, why are you guys so negative? We're in first place. And constantly. And we're like, you know, there's wish. And every single episode since then, we said, man, they're still struggling. What's going on here? Like, are they going to get it going? And then we were just like, you know, this is not going to happen. Like, we declared that a while ago. Like, this team cannot hit with runners in scoring position. Like, they need to make a bigger change, whether that is with a big-time player at the deadline, adding a bat at the deadline, or changing the coaching staff. We talked about changing the coaching staff months ago. And now all of a sudden, now more people are like, oh yeah, they really should maybe move on from that. So it's just like we were saying this for months, and you know there hasn't been, if anything, there hasn't been improvement at any point. Even though it was an issue in the beginning of the season, it's gotten worse. So that's the other thing too, is that like we identified this issue first month this season, and if anything, it's only gotten worse. So that's another thing that is just really, really frustrating because you saw it coming from a mile away. I mean, you knew right away that they were struggling in those situations. The approach was off, and you were seeing the same struggles, same issues, same mistakes, a lot of mental mistakes that were happening, lack of focus, lack of energy, and that's still a very big topic right now for a lot of Met fans. And watching them, like, lack of energy, it's just crazy to me. I mean, even yesterday, as much as I hate it, I think it's petty, but at some point when you are getting no hit that many innings, somebody's got to drop down a bunt. I mean, like, somebody needs to try to make something happen. I mean, get some energy, get something going. And no one cared. They're just, oh, another ground out. Oh, another ground out. Like, they just didn't seem bothered at all that they were just getting totally dominated. It was just really strange. They had already lost the series, already out of first place. Like, there needs to be some sense of urgency here. You know, I mean, there really has just got to be something. And you don't see it from anybody. It definitely has just been very frustrating to watch. I have a couple of reasons why I think what could be a cause of, like, a lot of people saying, you know, the team also just like feels different than last year, and people can't really put their finger on it because as far as like the starting players, it's about the same lineup wise, but I think there are some things in the clubhouse that are different that are having an impact, and you could see it. And it's something that it doesn't show up in a stat. It doesn't show up there, but it's just like what you see as far as like how everyone's body language is, how everyone goes about playing. Like, you just see that there's something missing. There's something totally different. But right now, they just haven't been doing too good.
I mean, we've talked about the deficiencies of this team many times, of just them overall offensively, but also talking about the lack of tools and the loss of skill set that puts them behind a lot of these other teams, that makes them get outplayed by a lot of these teams. Guardians can be one of those in that set example. The Brewers ran all over them in the series in the regular season last year. They were able to outlast them, but it was not an easy task. Either way, it comes to a point where the Mets, are they lacking some sort of areas? Yes. But I think that it's comes to a point where you have this certain talent on this roster that you know is capable of a lot more, should be capable of a lot more. And you should not be surprised when other departments completely break down to pick up for a department that should be the main show, that should be the main piece here. And I know everybody will blame David Stearns for the construction of this roster as to why they're just not so good. Well, again, don't sign Juan Soto to a record-setting contract if you want amazing pitching, if you want all these other great things. And I'm sure people will continue to get pissed off. They would have continued to get pissed off if they didn't get Juan Soto. So you can't have it both ways. But now they have Juan Soto. They have Pete Alonso back here. Who knows how long he'll be here for the foreseeable future. Lindor, Nimmo, we all know these are good players. Bounce back season by Jeff McNeil. He's been really good. Starling Marte has been at least productive for this team. Individually, these guys are underperforming, but individually we know what they're capable of. And we still are not seeing it. We're just continuing to not see it over and over and over again. And I don't know how many times you have to be fooled to say, well, maybe they just don't turn it around. Maybe this is just what the team is. I don't know how many times we have to do an identity check or have to do a this or that or what is this team. I think we figured out what this team is. I think this is basically what this team is. This is a team that will continue to underachieve with a miraculous amount of talent on it, plenty of hitting talent, and will not play up to the ceiling at all. Whether it is presence in the clubhouse, whether it is the individual players not buying in, or the individual players just putting things on display of, well, it's okay. It's all right that we're playing like this. I believe in us. Repeating the same thing to the media over and over and over and over again. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. The hits are going to start falling. We're hitting the ball. The hits are going to start falling. It'll start falling. It'll start falling. It'll start falling. Well, let's see. We're past 110 games, like I said. And the only falling that has been doing has been you going down the standings. So, and apparently when that happens, that's the only thing that matters, their win-loss record. Am I right? Oh, that's the only thing that matters. Unless it's bad, then that doesn't matter. Right? I'm not going to sit here with two-sided propaganda. I never will do that. There's some fans that just don't want to talk about the bad stuff. The only thing that counts is the good stuff. Which is fine. If that's what you want to live by, go ahead. But I'm not going to sit here and feed into the delusional part of it and not say that there's issues on this team. And there shouldn't be this many issues on a team that is supposedly built to win and built to win now. Ricardo saying, when is it going to happen? It's August 7th. It is August 7th. Baseball season starts in April.
Or end of March.
End of March, maybe. If you want to get technical. I just don't know how much. I don't know how much. I don't know how much wishful thinking we can be doing when every single day it is the same underperforming result. Hornet Gag saying we have no shutdown pitching. You'll know they'll give up runs. So why doesn't our $2 billion offense score more runs? It's what they're paid to do, right? You can tell me everything about the pitching. Go ahead. The pitching's not strong. We know it's not, but we knew it wouldn't be. We knew it wasn't going to be the strength of this team. And it was the strength of this team for 2 months. I went into this season saying, I'm not really that worried about this starting rotation because it's all really about piecing innings together. And I said, what I'm really worried about is this offense. Carson, you're crazy. They've got Nimmo and Lindor and Soto and Alonso now. McNeil bounced back in the second half last year. Sometimes the clues are there. I don't know what to say. I'm not trying to sit here and claim myself as a genius, but if you saw it, you saw it. The only way that it can change is if we open more eyes to it. That's what we're here to do. I am so beyond even wanting to go over what has been going on in these games because it makes me want to vomit. But due diligence, of course. We have a show to do. So let's actually run down what happened in this dreadful series with the Mets and the Guardians. Starting off with Game 1, Sean Manaea would make the start and cruise through the first 5 innings, but completely implode in the 6th, surrendering back-to-back race runners to start the frame, and RBI singles to David Fry and Carlos Santana would open up the scoring, and a 3-run homer to Gabriel Arias, I think that's how you say it, would put the Mets in a 5-0 hole. Manaea would be pulled after getting the first 2 outs for Brooks Raley, who would finish the inning to close the book on Manaea. 5 2/3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts on 85 pitches, but the Mets would respond right away after a strikeout wild pitch to put Francisco Lindor at first base, and Juan Soto would reach on a fielding error. Pete Alonso would launch his 25th home run of the year, and his 3rd in 4 games to put the Mets within 2. Tyler Rogers would come on to pitch the 7th and work around a leadoff single to toss a scoreless inning with 2 groundouts and a strikeout. Reed Garrett would get the 8th and toss a 1-2-3 inning with 2 strikeouts. And down 5-3, the Mets would rally with 3 straight singles from Lindor, Soto, and Alonso. Jeff McNeil would follow it up with a single of his own to load the bases. And Mark Vientos would tie the game at 5 with a sacrifice fly. Edwin Diaz would come on for the 5th and work around a leadoff single that would advance to 2nd on a stolen base, and then to 3rd on a throwing error by Francisco Alvarez, but Diaz would escape with 2 strikeouts and a short pop fly to keep the game tied. The Mets would threaten in the 9th with a leadoff single by Francisco Alvarez. Tyrone Taylor would pinch run for him, and Francisco Lindor would follow him with a double down the right field line, leading to a questionable holdup by third base coach Mike Sarbaugh. Cleveland would intentionally walk Juan Soto to load the bases, but Pete Alonso would strike out, and Jeff McNeil would line out to strand the bases loaded in the 9th and send the game to extra innings. Ryan Helsley would come on for the 10th, with a runner at 2nd, of course, and the Mets would opt to intentionally walk Jose Ramirez to make it 1st and 2nd. David Fry would attempt a sacrifice bunt, and Brett Beatty would throw wide of the second base bag on a fielder's choice, allowing the ghost runner to come around and score, and a sacrifice fly would score Ramirez to give the Guardians a 7-5 lead. Brett Beatty would drive in the ghost runner on an RBI single to get the Mets within 1, but Luis Torrens would fly out to end the game, handing the Mets a disheartening extra innings loss in Game 1, 7-6. Game 2, Clay Holmes would make the start and pitch efficiently through the first 3 innings, but after a 2-run 4th inning and a clean 5th, the Mets would call it short, finishing his day with 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, and 75 pitches. The Mets would take an early lead in the first after a 1-out walk to Francisco Lindor and a stolen base, a walk to Juan Soto on a wild pitch that would move Lindor over to 3rd, and Pete Alonso would get the Mets on the board with a sacrifice fly. They'd add on in the 2nd after a leadoff double from Mark Vientos and a sacrifice bunt by Jeff McNeil to move over to 3rd. A walk to Francisco Alvarez to set up Tyrone Taylor for an RBI single, a very struggling Tyrone Taylor who got off of a huge slump there, giving the Mets a 2-0 lead. Fast forward to the 6th, tied at 2. Gregory Soto would come in and work around a leadoff hit by pitch to toss a scoreless inning. Tyler Rogers would get the 7th, and after getting the first 2 outs on the ground, he continued to induce soft contact, but it just kept finding grass. 3 consecutive singles to CJ Kayfis Ryan Rocchio and Stephen Kwan to put the Guardians in front. Brooks Raley would pitch the 8th and toss a 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout. Ryan Helsley would come in for the 9th and also toss a 1-2-3 inning with 2 strikeouts. The Mets offense would completely stall out after that second inning, just getting 3 base runners from the 3rd inning on, going 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position to drop back-to-back games to Cleveland in Game 2, 3-2. Game 3, David Peterson would make the start, and even though he wasn't as sharp, giving up 2 runs, he gave the Mets what he always gives them, that being volume. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts on 89 pitches. Reed Garrett would pitch a 1-2-3 7th with a strikeout, and Justin Hageman would go out for the 8th and 9th and pitch 2 scoreless frames with a strikeout as well. The Mets would get no hit by Gavin Williams through 8 1/3 innings pitched before Juan Soto would finally break it up with his 26th home run of the year to straightaway center field. But Cleveland would complete a 3-game sweep of the Mets at Citi Field, 4-1 in Game 3. The Mets are now 63-52 on the season. They have now lost 8 of their last 9 games, sliding down to 2.5 games behind the Phillies for first place in the National League East. Obviously, plenty to unpack from this disgusting, dreadful, disgraceful display of baseball that the Mets gave on their own home field, which, remember when we were so good at home? We're so good at home. We have a great home record. I don't know. Probably not as good anymore. But anyways, 11 games over 500, Frank. No need to panic.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a frustrating series. I want to start off with Game 1. I mean, just because that was the game you felt like the Mets had the best chance to win because they actually scored 6 runs. And I want to kind of go over the managing and coaching in that 6th inning. So with Manaea, we know that he's obviously working his way back from the injury. He missed months, and they've been very careful with him and how many innings he's going out there. He has not really pitched in the 6th inning much, so I feel like now he's in the 6th inning. Although he had been pitching really well to this point, had not given up any runs, looked sharp for the most part, did have some ugly hit by pitches. You still got to monitor him carefully in the 6th inning, no matter what. First game of the series, it's just like, all right, let's be careful. So you start off with a single on a ground ball. You're like, all right, not the way you want to start an inning. Then you hit a batter that's trying to bunt. And that's a point where you should be like, ooh, I probably should warm somebody up right now because might not turn out to be a great inning. Then you have the fly out, no problem, but wild pitch, and you're like, oh, maybe he really is kind of losing it here. Then an RBI single. Now, at minimum, I'm doing a mound visit. If I'm the pitch, you have the pitching coach, go out there, talk to him. No mound visit. All right. Keep him out there. Another RBI single. By this point, I'm taking him out. I'm like, okay. I mean, we gave you plenty of chances. You don't have it. You lost gas. We're taking you out. Then the pitching coach comes out there after that second RBI single. And first pitch after that mound visit, 3-run bomb. Like, what did you tell him? Like, what was that mound visit about? Throw your changeup that you never throw and hang it down the middle. Like, what? I mean, so first of all, he shouldn't have even been out there to begin with. And then whatever the pitching coach and the game plan they came up with was a terrible game plan. So it's just like, I don't understand what the whole thought process was that 6th inning. It totally, I mean, it blew it. I mean, because at that point, then you're down, was it like 5-0? Because it was 0-0. Since the Mets offense was giving them nothing. But it was just like, man, that could have been avoided very easily. And sure enough, you go to the bullpen and right away, everything is fine. And then in the 10th inning, I mean, Brett Beatty comes in after you're doing all these pinch hitting, pinch running, and a great defensive player, right, Carson? I mean, that's one of the main reasons why Beatty is on here, because he's not giving you offense. He's supposed to give you good defense, and he's just throwing it wide. Could Lindor stretch out a little more?
No, it was Lindor's fault, actually. That's what I've heard on Twitter. It's Lindor's fault. He was positioned behind the bag, like kind of how you're supposed to field a double play ball. But everybody wanted him to stand in front of the bag so he could get, slid into like Tejada was in 2015. And, it went off his glove. So automatically that's Francisco Lindor's problem, even though Brett Beatty literally aimed the ball into right field. But, it's whatever. Protect Beatty, protect TikTok edit man. We still need him here. And, it's whatever. I mean, that first game already set the tone for this series, but Go
Yeah,
on.
exactly. So Bay is supposed to be here for one reason here for defense because I mean we heard so much about Vientos can't start at third. He's so bad defensively. He needs to be Beatty or it needs to be Ronnie even, and he got taken because all the stuff that's going on. But it's just like wow. I mean you really that's not what you want to see. I mean you don't trade all that to acquire Ryan Helsley if your third baseman is going to be throwing the ball into right field. So, I mean, that just kind of defeats the whole purpose of building a super bullpen if you can't field behind them. So that was just a super, super frustrating game. And like
Just
you
strike
said,
everyone out. It's fine.
just strike everyone out, yeah. And he tries
It's fine.
sometimes. I mean, Helsley can do that, but
Yeah,
not
he
every
could.
time. So it was just the
And
way
if he
the whole-
doesn't, it's all his fault. So
But the way the whole series went, I mean, then they just didn't hit for the rest of it. And they're still with the lineup stuff. You know, it's like you have Marte, who's actually struggling now since it's been like, was like 0 for his last 13, 14. Like, he's in a struggle, so we're going to lead him off in game 2. All right. And he does absolutely nothing. And then it's like, oh, we know what the problem is with Lindor. When we moved him to the leadoff spot, everything was solved. And we were amazing, and he was amazing. We need to put him back in the leadoff spot and then put Nimmo back to cleanup where we all know he does not belong. And Lindor looked maybe even worse in the last game. So it's just like it's always the batting order. It's like that's the issue. You know why we're not hitting with the runs in scoring position? You know why we're not scoring a lot of runs? It's the batting order. So we're going to change it every single day. I mean, how many times have they had the same lineup 2 days in a row? I don't think they have, especially not even personnel-wise. It's always like this guy bats 7 one day, then 9th one day, then 8th one day, then 2nd one day, then 5th, then 6th. Like everybody is always moving around all over the place every single day. So
the welcome to the blender.
yeah, it's probably a hockey thing. Anyways, I mean, it's just like it's all over the place, and that's another thing that it's like once again you're blaming the players. It's like, oh well, it's because of where they're batting in the order. That's why they're struggling. So they just keep moving it around, and yet no change. And like we said, it's just I want to see at least one time like a 2-strike approach. I mean, does that exist? I mean, we continue to see 2 strikes, men on base. Pitch down the middle, fastball down the middle, staring at it. All the time, still. I mean, it happens so many times. And then a pitch in the dirt, let's swing at that one. You know, it's just like stuff like that all the time. So again, when Mendoza is saying, oh, well, you know, our coaches are working so hard and you know, the message just isn't getting through or whatever. So it's like, there's either a few things going on. Either number one, your message is wrong because you're telling them like, don't swing when there's 2 strikes and you're getting a fastball down the middle. I mean, you should be protecting for that, but so they don't do that. Or the message that you are telling them, they just flat out aren't listening, which I have a hard time believing. So that's the thing that's really frustrating is that if this was a team of a bunch of bums, a bunch of scrubs, you'd be like, all right, you know what? We don't have high expectations. These guys stink. But guys with such proven track records of being really good offensive players, when you have a whole bunch of those that they have power, like they have individual talent, but when they're in these situations, now all of a sudden they don't know what to do anymore after being successful for a really long time, especially somebody like Juan Soto, who even as a rookie had a great approach. Now all of a sudden doesn't know what he's doing with men on. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get how all of a sudden everyone just went dumb when there are men on base this season specifically. I don't get that.
Yeah.
That just doesn't seem right to me.
It always seems like there's some kind of Mets tax in every situation where like they come over to the Mets and it takes them like a year or two to finally figure it out and realize, hey, I'm actually a good player again, or they just completely die out and that's just basically the end of their career. This continues to just be a constant team deficiency. They can't develop hitters. They can't find a way to make hitters better. They make all of these inefficient decisions, and it rubs off even on their top hitters who are supposedly so good. You have these guys completely underperforming their career numbers individually. We'll get into that top 4. And it just is an awful display of offense, and it's been like this all year. It was like this last year, but it got covered by a few players actually knowing what the hell they were doing. And there was this offense. I mean, this offense looks exactly like it looked last year to me, just basically showing the more sustainable results. So I don't know. You also had the Pixie Ducks magic of Jose Iglesias 2 months into the season. That also helped. And there's a lot of people that will talk about, well, what's the mood in this clubhouse? It's different. Yeah, I'm sure it looks different because they're not winning games, they're not playing good baseball, and they're not putting on any type of a show. But here's the thing. All right. Here's how I feel about this. If I hear one more time that letting Jose Iglesias go was the straw that broke the camel's back, I am going to lose it. Because again, here's the deal. If letting go of a 36-year-old Latin pop singer who is a journeyman middle infielder was the straw that broke the camel's back for this team, they were never that good to begin with. They will always be considered soft. If that is what rocked their world completely, they're finished. Finished.
Okay, so there's actually two guys who are not with the team anymore that both had big impacts, and it wasn't just with their statistics. One of them was Jose Iglesias, but the other one was JD Martinez. Not having JD in the clubhouse is also a big deal because if you remember when they had that big team meeting, like they have like all these marks as when the team took off. You have Grimace, Lindor lead off, Iglesias call up, team meeting. In the team meeting, at the end, JD Martinez said, "They all think we suck. Let's have fun, like being bad. Like let's be the worst team but have fun doing it." And all of a sudden, they did. So the fact that like, oh well, they're not having fun because they're not winning, they did have fun last year when they were not winning because of what JD Martinez said. And when a lot of these hitters were struggling and making adjustments, the guy who they went to vocally that players have talked about is JD Martinez. It is not Eric Chavez. It is not Jeremy Barnes. It is JD Martinez. And JD Martinez, he's still unsigned. Like he is still just kind of at home on the couch. Maybe he's watching us. I don't know. But like they could do something about it. Like you have to tell them that like you've had this is what bothers me the most. They had Jared Young on this team for a while doing a whole bunch of nothing. You mean to tell me that you couldn't get more value having JD Martinez here, especially just the leadership? Whereas now, your very leader is Starling Marte, who does planks on the railing and doesn't say a word. I mean, that's the horrible guy to set an example to keep the clubhouse together. Because
go
ahead.
Again, if this is what broke the team, they were never.
You need veteran leadership. They don't have.
I know you need veteran leadership. I know you need veteran leadership. I do know. I know you need veteran leadership. But you're gonna build up roster spots for a 36-year-old Iglesias and a 36-year-old Martinez.
I was going to get to that. So the Padres, the hot team, I mean, the team that traded everybody and all they want is stars. You know who's still on their roster despite having a terrible season? Jose Iglesias. Why is that? Why would a team of the Padres who are in all in win now mode have a bunch of stars, a bunch of money committed, traded all their prospects, got rid of a bunch of guys, yet he still remains despite having a terrible season? Why is Iglesias still on the Padres?
Probably because they give out enormous contracts and have no depth.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They added 2 more position players at the deadline, yet still keep Iglesias around. Like no matter what, they always find a way to make sure that he's still on the team. And
I'm not saying that he should. I'm not saying that
they went and got like, oh, we need a catcher. We got Fermin. Oh, we wanted more hitters. Oh, we got
I'm not saying that Iglesias wasn't important for this team. We all know how I like Jose Iglesias. We know he was somebody I've talked about before they even got him years before. But what I'm saying is, if that is what broke this team, they never were that good to begin with. I'm just saying it's like if that was their issue. I mean, I don't want to make this comparison because most people aren't probably going to get it, but this is an exact example of Rangers fans with a guy named Barclay Goodrow, who wasn't a good player at all. They gave this huge contract to, and he was seen as a leader. They get rid of him, put him on waivers. He leaves. contract is picked up by another team, and apparently that is what broke this team. That was it. They're that soft that some role player here is what completely broke the team, took them from Stanley Cup status or contender status to a bottom-feeding team. That's what I don't get. That's what I have. Like, how is that big of an impact? And not to mention, if Martinez and Iglesias gave them such a great message or were such great veteran leaders, how come a year later the message hasn't stuck at all?
Because there's no one there to say. There's no example to follow. I mean, it's more so it's a mentality. And so, like, JD Martinez has mentioned Iglesias specifically in an interview, not employed by the Mets anymore, about Iglesias' personality and how that will help a team that is like the Mets look like a bunch of zombies right now. Iglesias is the first thing for zombies. So the Mets have no guys with energy. The one guy that does have energy is on the injury list right now, Jesse Winker. He would be able to help a little bit with his energy if he's playing well. But the guys that they have right now have no veteran leadership and have no energy. And that's why you see a team of a bunch of guys with energy. I'm not saying you need Iglesias specifically, but you need some guys with some energy. And as much as I disliked him, Harrison Bader had energy. He did. But, I mean, as far as his stats, he couldn't really play. So he's not – but you had Iglesias, so you were fine. But it just seems that, like, could Jose Siri give that? I mean, maybe, but he's not coming back anytime soon either. So it's like the guys that would be so-called energy pieces, they're not even vocal guys on their own like Iglesias.
And it's another one of those – it's another one of those situations where it's like, okay, one guy is out and they just roll over and die. That's what I mean. It's like that. If that is the whole thing, then maybe we're not doing the right thing here in the first place. Again, Soto coming here and being probably the worst version of himself he has been throughout his entire career here so far. He wasn't teammates with Jose Iglesias. He wasn't on the team last year.
Yeah, so they're supposed to be better. They're supposed to be better, and they're worse. When you added Juan Soto to this team, they're supposed to be better, and they're a worse team. Like, that's not supposed to be possible.
It shouldn't be possible. No, it shouldn't. Again, I'm not in that clubhouse. None of us are. But again, generally speaking, if there is someone to point the blame to, it has to be the leaders on this team. It has to be the top hitters on this team. It has to be the top four, the most expensive department of this team that has to be held accountable. Because constantly, right now, recently, they've been terrible. They've been inconsistent all year as well. Some have been more consistent than others, but they haven't gelled together at all this year. It just seems like four guys doing their own thing. Doesn't look like a Fab Four to me, Mr. Cohen. Doesn't look like a Fab Four to me. And let's actually get into what that Fab Four has been doing, or what I would like to call it, the not-so Fab Four. Since July 5th, which is the last 25 games, Brandon Nimmo has been their best hitter out of all of them. 108 weighted runs created plus, 2 home runs, 15 runs batted in. Francisco Lindor, dreadful ever since that broken pinky toe that happened with him, which apparently has been killing him the whole time. 4 home runs, 18 RBIs, and 98 weighted runs created plus, which is 2% below the league average. It's 115 plate appearances. Juan Soto has completely disappeared. He is batting 186, on base percentage of 320. 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, 82 weighted runs created plus. And then there's the guy who's disappeared probably more than any of them, that being Pete Alonso, who still has 7 home runs in that span, but other than that has completely disappeared and has not been the consistent hitter he was to start the year. Brandon Nimmo has been their most consistent, 108, 8% over the league average. But did anyone see the series that Brandon Nimmo had against the Guardians? Holy shit. He looked lost more than anybody more combined in this lineup. Then they end up batting him cleanup in that final game. Nimmo stared, I think, at about 9 strike threes in that entire thing. So what is the problem here? What is the issue? Because we all know the talent is there. We all know it exists. We know what Francisco Lindor is capable of. A 30-30 guy for multiple years. Juan Soto, one of the best hitters of this generation. Pete Alonso, one of the best power hitters of this generation. Brandon Nimmo has been one of their most consistent players for years on end when he's healthy. He's been healthy recently. So why is this not coming together? Why? And here is the main question that I will ask. Nimmo, for Lindor, for Soto, Alonso, straight up. Where are you? Wake up! Where have you been? How many times? I don't know how many times you have to say this of this guy had an individual performance that's not good. Or these guys are not going directly at the same time. I haven't even seen a time, to be honest, or an extended period of time where two of these hitters are hot at the same time. It always seems like everybody has their significant month. One hitter can't do it all. And one hitter had tried in June, that being Juan Soto, who was hitting a bunch of solo home runs. And that team was not doing well in June. So collectively, they have to do something. And they're not. The four of these guys, I don't want to watch them play anymore. That's how it's looked for this past month. I do not want to watch these guys play baseball because I know what's on the other end of this AB is nothing or the minimum. I know it's not true, but for what we are seeing right now, you guys stink. You guys have stunk. And you're trying to tell me in the media over and over again after every game, well, you know, we believe in this team. We have the talent. We have the... Shut up. Shut up. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear excuses. I don't care if these guys take the mic or not. Perform. That's what you are here for. Because if you don't, guess what happens? The team loses. Because everyone tells, oh, we can't rely on this pitching. This pitching staff sucks. All right. The bullpen's overworked. We can't rely on the bottom part of this order. So what do you have to rely on? The top four. The $2 billion top four that has done nothing for a month straight and has been inconsistent for 5 months. Pete Alonso, where the fuck are you, buddy? Where'd you go? You were doing great. You seem to have the only guy that had anything together. Where did you go? Seems like you look like just like your 2024 version of yourself. I'm not saying everything should be a guaranteed. Every single one of these guys should be 5 for 5 every day. But where are you? Where are you when this matters? Juan Soto, where the fuck did you go? All year. One of the worst hitters in all of baseball with runners in scoring position. Not just on the team, the worst in all of baseball. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Especially when you see his high leverage numbers that are relatively good. So how is that a thing? How does that make sense? Would somebody like to explain this to me? Because I am out of it. I'm completely out of it. I don't even know what to say anymore. Where the hell have they been? Not to mention what we are seeing on the field, like you said with the body language. Lindor striking out. Hello, this is hilarious. Juan Soto breaking up a no-hitter with the team completely in a dumpster right now. Trying not to smile. Run the bases, buddy. Nobody wants to see you smile. No one cares right now. No one wants to see you take selfies with your wooden flip-flop in the dugout. No one wants to see that right now. No one fucking cares. Keep the vibes up. Keep the vibe. How about you show up? Where the fuck have you four been? Where? I'm not seeing you. I'm not seeing the talent you have. I don't want to hear it. I just don't. Frank, I can rant on forever about this, but the four of these guys, these four, where are you? You've disappeared completely. Every single time every time this part of the lineup is up, it's a guaranteed 1, 2, 3 inning. How is that possible? How? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really crazy because if you date it back even further to like middle of June, the numbers are still just absolutely putrid. And like you could have a bad month. I mean, your 4 stars having bad months, that's not normal, but 2 straight bad months, that's just very, very uncommon. So it's just weird to me. And then there's people that are like, oh, well, don't freak out because like Juan Soto's so good that he'll figure out. I mean, the same thing happened early in the season. He was struggling and then he had an amazing June and it was all okay. But now he sucks again. So it's like, so let's just say, for example, Soto does have an amazing September. How do I know I have a cold stretch in October? I mean, that's the thing that kind of worries me is that like, okay, it's not, like you said, it shouldn't get worse. It's not supposed to be like this can't get worse, right? Like these guys can't all continue to be this cold at the same time. And if some of them do go on a hot streak, let's say it is Lindor or Alonso or somebody, with how the season has gone, how do I not know that they're all just going to get cold again by the time playoffs come around? Like, I just, like we said, when it comes to streaky players, you can't rely on everyone that's streaky. I mean, like, you got to have some guys who are just steady, who are always solid for you, always give you something productive. But you cannot have a whole team that gets hot and a whole team that gets cold. I mean, that really just should not be a thing at all. So it definitely is very frustrating, especially when you look at like where their season numbers are too, because in the game of baseball, 162, you're going to have hot stretches, cold stretches, you're going to slump and things like that. But when you look at the season totals right now, I mean, you have Lindor, he's at an OPS nowhere near his norm. Even Soto, he's down from the past. Nimmo, like a lot of these guys are just not where they usually are career-wise. So that's the thing too, is that
we all know, and they're all 1 year away from retirement, so it makes sense, right? Because they're all about to all retire. You know,
I mean, now with how many contracts how much years they have on their contracts besides Alonso, they're all going to be here for a long time. So they do need to get it going. But it definitely is just, it's confusing because you've seen how good these guys have been in the past, and to see them all be this bad for this long at the same time, it's just so frustrating. Like you said, like, you just don't have much hope when you see these guys come to the plate. It's like you could have bases loaded, nobody out, middle of the order up, and be like, well, at most we're getting a sac fly out of this, and that's probably it. We'll probably into a double play, maybe a pop-up and a strikeout, and that's it. Like, that's the thing, too, is that, like, when they do have a man on, let's say you have runner at second, nobody out, you'll see, like, a ground out, and a fly out, and maybe the guy moved to third on one of the ground outs, and that's it. Like, that's just the way it goes. It's like, even because it's like we've talked about, there is still ways to score runs even without getting hits with runners in scoring position. You still can score when there are runners in scoring position. They must have done a great job of stealing bases. Like we talk about coaching staff. The first base coach, Richardson, okay, he's fine. Like, he could stay. Like, they've stolen so many bases in a row. They've done a good job with that. I don't think they steal enough, considering like how successful they've been, how they have not been thrown out in like, was it 31 tries or something like that. I feel like, well, if you're that successful in stealing bases, try to steal some more. I mean, why are you so caught up on this streak? Like, if you're such a great base stealer, you should be going more frequently, avoiding the double plays because of how often your team hits on the ball on the ground and is not able to beat out the double play. So, I mean, you should be trying to steal some more. I mean, you don't want to bunt, that's fine, because it's a team that's built on power, even though we don't see power from these guys. So that's out of the equation too.
All or nothing.
They hunt walks.
Offense, right?
Yeah, no. They hunt walks quite a lot. You could walk, all right, but when everyone's walking, you're not going to get very far. When you're walking, you need to start running. Then you need to hit the ball in order to do that. So it's just like even their outs are just not productive outs. It's not moving the guy over. It's like I said, too many pop-ups, too many ground outs. And it's like even when they do get a pitch in the zone, like right down the middle, they put a swing on it, it goes right in the ground. Like, It's just really weird. A lot of times we feel like that's a pitch that with this hitter they should annihilate it, and they don't. Or far too many times they're staring at it, and you're like, well, what are you looking for? And it's when you see the things that they do swing at, it's like that's what you were looking for. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I get into like approach, and I'm just like, if those are the pitches you're swinging at, but taking that pitch, like what was your plan when you're batting? Like what are you looking for if that's what you're doing? So again, the thought process is just very very strange too from across the board. I mean, the top guys definitely, but just this whole team in general too.
No, I am fully convinced because it's I mean we've talked about this so many times. We've identified it. We've said it so many times even when things were going good of how it, maybe this won't really sustain or anything. But again, I am fully convinced that this is a coaching issue. I know it is. I know it's a coaching issue, and maybe even if it doesn't affect the top guys. And everyone's like, well, the top guys just have to come through. I believe that. I just went on a full rant about them coming through. But it's also just the fact of how it rubs off on the rest of the clubhouse. Of how, oh, well, our top four, and it goes to, most of the young guys, the impression of the young guys, because, that's the next generation of the team. Most of the young guys, Pete Alonso swinging and missing with the bases loaded. This team staring at pitches with the bases loaded, staring at pitches with runners in scoring position. That's okay. High five. That shouldn't be the impression to these young guys. And that has been the impression to these young guys of the message that has been sent. Now, obviously, the message that has been going to them, I have talked about this guy exclusively, and people are starting to realize how big of a disgusting fraud this guy is. Not to mention, it's all really more of just context of who was the inspiration, like you just said, JD Martinez. He was a big impact last year. Pete Alonso getting outside help. Then it gets a little bit more extreme of telling Francisco Alvarez not to be a power hitter. You've had things come out about Lindor telling this certain hitting coach, well, I'm not going to address by name because he doesn't deserve it. Telling this hitting coach that you need to do your job, and for some reason he's still here getting into fights with fans on social media. Apparently, he has created a burner account where he's defending himself, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure is protected now, got privated. So, who knows if this is that's actually him. I'm trying not to address him by name. I'm trying to. But this is basically puts on display. I'm not, to tell you that I'm not overreacting, the way I even talked about this in 2022, deactivated, something tells me it's actually him. All right, well, we'll see. If that is the case, this basically just shows you exactly what I tried to warn everyone about this guy. This is what he's always been. He's always been like this. Back in his playing days, the guy would run his mouth and never back it up. Has anybody ever seen any of the stories in 2001 playoffs where his team was ahead in a series and he talked all this shit, and then the Yankees came back and beat his team because he couldn't keep his fucking mouth shut? Has anybody seen the videos of him saying this earlier before this season, of talking about if the Dodgers are good for baseball, saying bring on the Dodgers, David versus Goliath, let's go? Seems very, very confident for a guy who has been someone who's spoken and seems to be a voice in that clubhouse. Especially when you're seeing this on the field, an offense that can't hit or score runs. I don't know. Because when we have off the field stuff like this, guess what that makes us look like? Here's a name that I will say. Wilpon. Y'all hear it? Gave you a chill, didn't it? All yours.
It's crazy. I mean, like, we could spend a whole nother episode on it. It's just I don't, like we've said, what more do you have to see? I mean, we've been saying this, but like the offense just continues to get worse. It's like, I mean, he's been here for years now, and last year they were okay, but the year before they were bad. I mean, like, they've constantly shown inconsistencies in how their offense plays, and I just feel like when you see players who were really good in the past who now are not good under your leadership, a lot of times that's indicative of you. I mean, it's just like, it means you're not getting the most out of him. You're not getting anything out of him in some instances. And then even like when you see players go to another team and be more successful, I mean, that could be another thing. Oh, wow, that's kind of strange. So I don't get it. I know they won't do it now because it's so late in the season, but it's like by next year, man, if they finish the way they're going right now, like it has to, right? Like I feel like they just have to do something. They have to. I mean, because it's not a 1-year thing at this point. It's not like, oh, we'll give them another year. I just don't see much of anyone being held accountable from the coaching staff either. I mean, the manager, like, I don't see much there either, to be honest with you. I mean, let alone the in-game decisions. But if you're not holding your hitting coach accountable, or, I mean, you have to be held accountable too. If you have a team with this kind of payroll, you're not supposed to be playing this poorly. I mean, you're really not. Again, there's no injury excuse right now. They made additions at the deadline. They brought in like 5 new players. I mean, come on now. Like, you really, I mean, something's got to give here. And the thing that's crazy is that, like, even if they call up their young guys, like everyone's saying, oh, we would call Sproul, call McLean, because I wasn't even here last episode to rant about Montas. You covered it, but I agree with you. It was just like, you can call up your young guys. That will help some of the pitching stuff, but that's still, there's nothing that's going to solve this hitting. That's the thing that I'm trying to get at, is that, like, I mean, you want to call up Carson Bench from AA? Like, Carson, you ready to go? Like, that definitely, that would be crazy.
As long as I can bring a bat and never mind.
And hit baseballs with it. Anyways.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's like, at this point in the season, like, there's no solution. Like, they're not going to fire the hitting coach to be named. There's no one to call up who's ready.
Yeah.
They don't have, like, someone on the injury list that's, like, a huge bat ready to go. Because even Winker, he's kind of like the same guy who's looking to draw walks. So he's not really going to solve a lot of the issues that they have right now. He doesn't have
Winker
speed.
will actually swing. Like, he'll actually swing.
Not really.
I don't know if he wants to swing anymore because he might pull something.
That's true.
But
I mean, the times he does swing, he breaks his back, obliques, core, all the above. So, like, there's just not really a solution for this year. So it's more so like you have to hope, right? Here's the key word. You have to hope that the cold stretches ends and everyone gets hot and all of a sudden knows how to hit again. Because right now, they're, like we said, they've not tried anything different. There's been no adjustments. The same issues as far as, like we said, approach talked about a million times already, but, like, there's been no change. So that's the thing that really frustrates me. They change the lineup all the time, but that does result in different results. But
and no one gets held accountable for it.
Yeah,
That's
but it's like, if you have a bad hitting approach, whether you're batting 7th or batting 9th, the lineup order is not going to help. You have to do different things when you are at the plate. Each individual person.
I just feel like it just goes to the point of, well, they're just afraid to make any sort of move because apparently everybody is just so fragile at this point. I mean, let's not forget how emotional Pete Alonso was when they fired Chili Davis. He couldn't get over that. That's what I mean. It's like, well, how soft are you? Like I said with the Jose Iglesias stuff, how soft are you? You're a grown man. Like, seriously? You missed your best friend? Sometimes you can't be in contact with your best friend. It happens. You think I don't miss my co-hosts when they're not on here and I got to go solo? Sure I do. Because I also sound crazy just talking to myself. But it's like, you still are getting paid millions and millions of dollars to do a job. I'm sorry, when I say this, I say this with so much love, kind of. I say this with so much love. No one feels bad for you. Like, literally no one feels bad for you in this sense. I don't. You're making the top 1% money. You have a dream job. And listen, money ain't everything. Money isn't all happiness. But I'm saying you right now, for me to sit here and say, feel bad for them that Jose Iglesias isn't here and JD Martinez is here, when there's $2 billion committed to the name, are you kidding me right now? Everyone needs a friendship? I would like hardware. That's what I want. If the fans want it more than the players, oh, that's bad. That is bad. And it just shows you how bad some of these hires the Mets do make, whether it's coaching staff or general managers or this or that. You just put it in the chat. No team has hired Chili Davis since the Mets fired him.
Yet the Phillies have kept Kevin Long for like a million years now. Remember, he was very hitting coach.
And he has some flaws too, but he's at least.
But I mean, he's kept his job for a very long time.
I don't know. I'm not trying to say, oh, well, these guys are all wusses and they should need. What I'm saying is, like, how soft are you that affects you so much? I don't get it. Like, listen, baseball can be a mental game. We've talked about this before. But, like, there is a point of how can you be a baseball player and not understand that this is a game of failure? The age-old saying, the best hitters fail 7 out of 10 times. It's how you bounce back from it. And it always just seems like this team, when they mess up, it's over for them. Let's not forget. I mean, obviously it was a tough situation. It was not great. But does anybody remember when Pete Alonso threw that ball high and Kodai Senga ends up getting hurt? Pete Alonso seemed like he was just completely removed for 2 weeks. Anybody realize that? Like, holy shit. Like, the guy's not dead. He's in the clubhouse with you. He'll be fine. Like, yes, you made a mistake. It's whatever. But, like, I feel like we're just, like, getting up in arms about things and it just completely snowballs for way longer than it should. I just feel like this is kids stuff here that I feel like gets completely in the head of these guys who are supposed to be professionals. I don't get it. That's just how it is. And obviously that one voice in the dugout that we have talked about, people will continue to say, well, the hitting coach means nothing. The hitting coach means nothing. It's not impressionable. Okay, so take away all of the talk about the articles of him with Alvarez, of him with Lindor saying, do your job. Let me ask one question. This is how we'll leave it, because we can go on for this for a long time. If the hitting coach does not matter in this context, why do the Mets have 2? Why? What is the reason for that? Does anybody? No, we just, oh yeah, 2 hitting coaches. That's just what we doing now. Did we ever get a reason as to why? Is there? This is what I asked on Twitter. Dugout decorations? Why do you have 2? You know that whole saying of you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 3 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback? What's the reason for that? I don't know. If one guy's not worthy of the job, the other guy isn't, why are both of them at the same time? I don't know.
Because it's not working, and other teams don't do it nor want to do it. So why are you the one doing it? You know what I mean?
But the Mets are the model franchise, apparently, in some people's eyes. The Mets are the team that you follow. Because obviously, let's look at the trophy case we have for over the last 40 years. Model franchise. Yep. No need to look at the Dodgers, what they do, or the Astros, or what they do, or these other teams that have been model departments. Nothing for that. The Mets are the team that you need to follow. The team that is 2 years removed from hiring a drunk as their, or 3 years removed from hiring a drunk as their GM.
No, and a creep. They had both.
And a creep. And I'm not saying, again, different regime, different this, different that. I know.
It was the different
but it's like,
same ownership.
It's the same ownership.
And this
regime and
coach that we're talking about was employed under those other GMs too. He's survived multiple GMs.
Somehow we're the only team that has like, oh, we're going to inherit all of this. Somehow we're the only team. Usually, this is the one thing that has bugged me about David Stearns has been, why are you not bringing in your own guys? Like, why? Is there a reason? Are these guys really this attached to these guys? I don't get it. Because, I don't know, maybe if they do end up firing the guy who now shall not be named, are these guys just going to sit there and cry about it for the rest of the season? Let's say they do it right now. They're going to cry about it for the rest of the season? Probably. They probably will. They'll just sit there and mope. Oh, this is what we're doing now. You know, didn't know baseball was a business. I thought we were all, La Familia. It's what happens when the team doesn't win. This has been constant underperforming. Even in that 2022 season when they had the most success, I was one of the few that said, this is not going to hold up. And when it actually mattered in September, what happened, Frank?
Didn't hold up.
Yeah. They got exposed. And then they were like, hey, let's bring this back. Let's run this back. 101 wins. Who cares, right? You didn't even win the division. Holding on to mediocrity. Oh, so warm and fuzzy. What's in the past is in the past. I don't care what they did in 2024. Check the calendar. It's 2025. We're moving forward. If you try to repeat the unrepeatable, you're just in a bubble of delusion. It's kind of just how it is. Anyways, there was one other thing that I did want to bring up, obviously, in this series. The whole play of them not sending Tyrone Taylor. What was it in that? Was it the first game? The second game?
First game, yeah.
First game. Not sending Tyrone Taylor. It probably would have ended up winning the game. Listen, I think that the base coaches have probably been the most consistent out of all of our coaches this year. And I do think, giving it the benefit of the doubt, I think Sarbaugh saw something, and I understand what he did see. Unfortunately, this team with runners in scoring position, this team in these situations, it's like, okay, you know what? Just go home. Just go. Now, in context, here's the deal. The man in right field, Nolan Jones, one of the strongest arms in all of baseball. Is that someone you don't want to run on? Probably not. I understand wanting to send him, and if they did end up sending him and he ended up getting out at home, I wouldn't have been that mad. The aggressiveness would have been fine. But this is another point here where Jay-Z says, you cannot be scared to lose. Leave it all out there on the field. That's what they should have done. Technically speaking, it was the right call. I think it was the right call. However, I would not have been mad if they sent him and he was out. Because I still would have thought that would have been a good send, given the context of this team struggling so much with runners in scoring position. And then the other factor here that makes everybody very frustrated is how you look back on it, and this is hindsight 2020. They pinch ran for Alvarez. They brought in Taylor to run. That was what he was brought in to do. Try to swipe second. Would that be a thing? Didn't end up doing that. And, Brandon Nimmo at that point when he was at the plate, he wasn't making contact with anything. So he would have gotten a complete, no hit and run play. So having Taylor run like that, and then at the end of the game, who ends up having to be the last out? Luis Torrens, who came in defensively for Francisco Alvarez. So that's the main reason as to why the frustrating part of it. It's not because of holding up a guy with a strong arm. It's the fact that the after effects of taking Alvarez out of the game for a pinch runner who didn't run and did not run to a certain point. And then it ends up being the hot hitter in Francisco Alvarez, he has been since he's been called up. He's been swinging a better bat. Is now out of the game in those certain situations when you need him for Luis Torrens, who has not been good for multiple months now. So that's the main reason I think that shows the frustration. I don't think it's the full decision just to hold him. I think it's because of the after effects of what happened there. And it seemed like a really, really bad judgment call because it ended up going to extra innings. The run did not end up scoring. And like I said, Torrens ended up being that final out. I think, Taylor is fast. He 100% is fast. You can't say he's not. I think from the angle, it seemed like the ball was already in the infield or the ball was like released or whatever to the cutoff man, but they didn't know that Carlos Santana was going to fumble it. They didn't know that he was going to have a rough time picking it up.
A Gold Glover in Carlos Santana.
A Gold Glover, which again, in context, Nolan Jones, one of the best arms in all of baseball, Carlos Santana, one of the best defensive first basemen in all of baseball. The judgment call is good. However, the repercussions from it, dire. And it probably cost them the game.
But, the thing is, too, though, is that, did the Mets know that Juan Soto was going to be intentionally walked because he was the man that was due up after Lindor hit the double? So he gets intentionally walked. But still, it sets up Pete Alonso, bases loaded, less than 2 outs. You only need...
Pete Alonso had 4 hits in that game
Alonso
before he came to the plate.
Had 4 hits in that game. He has 90 RBIs on the season. You don't even need a hit, just a sacrifice fly. But he strikes out. And then McNeil, he hits the fly ball, but it's 2 outs, so inning over. So, again, with what was set up, it was kind of one of the things where it's like, let's say Torrens was the man due up, then okay, maybe you might want to send Taylor. But in that instance, you're feeling like, oh, well, at the time you thought you had Soto, but they intentionally walked him. And a red hot Pete, we thought Pete is having a hot stretch. Now, this should be automatic. And it wasn't, so
no.
It definitely is a tough thing. It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe like in football, you show in the 2-point conversion because your kicker missed the PAT almost. It's kind of like that. This should have been almost an automatic, and it wasn't, and it feels bad now.
Yeah, it looking back, I think that the snowball of the decision, I'm not, again, I can't be mad at the decision itself because in context, I know that those are 2 really premium defenders that you are dealing with in, Nolan Jones, who has one of the best arms in all of baseball, and Carlos Santana, who has fielded his position in some of the best of this generation. So again, in the margins of looking at that, that's not what I'm getting mad at. It's the fact of the team not being able to come through the way that they have, taking that risk, having that sort of instinct. It seemed like there was just a lack of that. And I feel like that's the main reason as to why Carlos Mendoza got such a bad return on when he said, I'm okay with that decision to hold up the runner at third base. Because in context, it makes sense. It makes sense. But the play just was not executed how they expected it to be. And that's just it. This Guardians team, they are one of the best defensive teams in baseball, aren't they? I mean, they used to be. I don't know if they still are. But again, it's all about just those little details that I think get definitely overworked as to why that decision is made. But then you also have the fact of what it became. And what it became was the runner ended up getting stranded that could have possibly scored. And then, yeah, Cleveland is one of the best defensive teams in baseball. But again, it's one of those things that, again, it's a decision that maybe you can take back there. But again, one of those pieces is you had, the top of the order coming up with runners in scoring position. Like we just said, with the top four hitters, they should have won the game anyway. You had Juan Soto get intentionally walked, set up for Pete Alonso. Where were you, Pete? You struck out. Jeff McNeil actually put the ball in play, got caught, put the ball in play. So again, they had an opportunity to win. All Pete Alonso had to do, as Jay-Z is saying in the chat, hit the ball to the outfield. That's it. And the funny thing about this is, he did it earlier in the game, I'm pretty sure, to get them on the board.
And then I think he got another sac fly.
It's not like you've never done this before.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a mixture of things that I feel like just don't gel together, and then everybody just completely butts heads, and it becomes negative. Like that's how it seems. Now we've got some more stuff to go over here. But for those of you who are in here, make sure to like the stream if you have not already. Subscribe, follow all of us individually. We are talking about a Mets team that is making everyone's blood boil right now. So, all that is really good right now is Mets fans support and a kumbaya. So that's what we all need at this current moment. This is a safe space, kind of, and there's conversations that have to be had that maybe are not going to be very, very comfortable for some, fans that don't want to hear, but that's what we're here to do. We're not going to sit here and sugarcoat it for you. The Mets are playing like garbage, and that's basically the reality of the situation. So let's run this down in the best way that we know how with a segment called Studs and Duds. One player in this series that was good, one that was not good. I'd say that one category outweighs the other, obviously, in this series. Frank, I will give you your stud for this series.
It really is tough. When you get swept and you get basically no hit in the last game, no hit the second half of the second game, it really is hard to pick someone. But even though I know we just talked about the at-bat he had, but overall, I mean, he was the only guy that even gave them a chance. He even gave them a pulse, and that was Alonso. I mean, he hit the 3-run homer that got them back in the game when they were down 5-0. Overall, he had 4 hits in the game, and then he had the sacrifice fly the next day. So, I mean, at least he gave them something this series when just about everyone else would give them literally nothing. So, I mean, again, something is better than nothing, especially compared to everyone else. So I'm going to take him because there's not really too much. The other guy I would put in as like a maybe because he technically did his job was Clay Holmes. I mean, 5 innings, 2 runs, like that's totally fine. And I'm glad they didn't push him because I've had my rants on him multiple times. He doesn't do good after 5. So I feel like he did what you want out of maybe your number 5 starter. 5 innings, 2 runs. You'll take that. Like, you could still win, especially with the super bullpen that wasn't so super, but you feel like you have a chance to win that game.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, no, that's definitely, the super bullpen, I think is more of just the fact of the Mets accepting that starting pitching is not easy to come by on the trade market. and they're like, okay, you know what, let's just load up this bullpen because, you know, they need just many options because the starters can't go past 5 innings, which again is a fine way to piece things together. But you are going to find some points where you're going to be still be making these roster moves, and I think that that's the main reason as to why it's a little bit frustrating to not see that.
We lost the legendary Rico Garcia because
we lost legendary Rico Garcia. Dominic Hamill didn't get to make his debut.
So dumb. We called him just to not use him.
Yeah, they didn't even use him. They warmed him up, and he got so he used all of his bullets in the bullpen, and they just sent him back down. Which again, I'm not here jumping up and down raging over Dom Hamill because he has been so shit.
I was surprised when they called him up to begin with because because at that time, I mean, that was what, game 1, game 2 when they called up Hamill, and we were coming off the heels of Montas's disaster, and we're like, okay, well, maybe you need to call up a young guy to help, whether that be like McLean or Sproat or somebody. And then we saw Hamill, and I put in our group chat, I was like, well, that's not the rookie I had in mind when we were going to call up the rookie.
He, from what I've heard, he's looked sharper from a bullpen role, which he should have been moved to a lot earlier because he just can't find the strike zone. But it's whatever. Life of a major leaguer, life of a relief pitcher. Get sent down, get DFA'd, get claimed. That's just kind of how it is. One guy that I do want to point out here in this full stretch, who I think has really benefited from this super bullpen being formed, and that being Reed Garrett, who I think really looks sharp throughout this series. He pitched in game 3 and he pitched in game 1, and looks like he was making some really, really quick work. He was getting ahead in the count, inducing his ground balls with his power sinker, and I think that he was, helping us stay in these games that we didn't end up winning. But it seems like, the bullpen is starting to form itself together. Hopefully it doesn't get overworked down this final stretch. But it's great to see, Reed Garrett kind of have like that secondary role where he can just be, do his thing and not have to take on such a workload, because there's been times where they've overused Reed Garrett and it's taken a massive toll on him. It has taken a huge, dip to some of his performance, because we've seen a lot of good from Reed Garrett, but we've also seen a lot of bad. So I'm glad to see, him put in that secondary role where he, eases off a little bit of the pressure and he can come in there a little bit more fresh and a little bit more focused. So the dud category, we obviously talked about that top 4 that was, that's been terrible recently. I think I pretty much have guys in the top 4 that I probably would put there. But if there's anybody you want to add, I have Nimmo in this series. Like, that's one that I would list here. And then obviously, Soto, but he broke up the no-hitter, so I guess he's a stud. But, but you can just put the top 4 there. But if there's anybody else you want to add, go ahead.
I got a couple of guys. How about 2 new acquisitions? Number 1, Tyler Rogers in game 2. He gives up 3 hits and a run. He just couldn't miss a bat, which is something that he's supposed to be known for, is missing bats. He couldn't really do that. So, not missing bats, but still, just like getting the job done, like not giving up runs.
He's what we call ground ball Jesus. So no, he's not. He ain't a swing and miss guy.
He's not a strikeout guy, but he doesn't give up runs. So to give up a run in a tie game was not ideal. And then Cedric Mullins, like, the guy as a Met is hitting .071.
God damn him.
Yeah, it's like we were like, well, at least he's better than Taylor, right? Not really, because Taylor actually had an RBI single in the at bat. So
yeah,
so far he's actually worse, and it's like
he's basically giving us exactly what I really expected, to be honest. Like, I'm not really, like, he's drawn a few walks. That's about it. Like, that's about walks.
It. 1 hit. And a bunch
he's
of
drawn 2. He's drawn 2 walks and he's been hit by a pitch once. So productive. Anyways,
he stole some bases. No, but like,
he stole some bases.
This guy that hit 15 home runs before getting here.
It looks bad.
Is he going to hit a home run?
It looks bad.
I don't know.
It looks very bad right now because you have a top 4 that's not showing up. If the top 4 shows up, we're not talking about Cedric Mullins.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Taylor got the hit, but Mullins keeps sitting against lefties, and I'm like, he has reverse splits. Like, why did you like this game?
Mendoza said it was a good matchup for TT.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well.
And he ended up getting the hit. So
he
I
ended
don't
up
know.
getting the hit, but just like overall, we talk about putting your players in a position to succeed. If someone has reverse, if someone's at their best against a lefty, play them against the lefty. I mean, come on now.
Sure. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I'm not overreacting to what I'm seeing from Cedric Mullins because I expected pretty much just another Tyrone Taylor. Pretty much.
No,
like,
he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be better than that. He's supposed to be at minimum league average. He's got an OPS plus of 8. Like, it's just brutal.
That's not good.
No, it's really, really bad.
No,
So
I don't know. I don't think I've seen really much promising from his bat this year.
What does that mean? He's like 92%
underlying-wise.
below league average. Like, what is
No,
going
not
on?
that bad. And not listen. I just didn't think it moved the needle at all. We all knew it wouldn't.
No,
we knew that Robert was the more bigger ceiling guy. He didn't end up getting moved, so that was what they pivoted to. I still think that there's a possibility that he can contribute for this team, but not in like a, well, this is a difference-making deadline acquisition type of piece. It's more of like, well, this is an add-on to the team to maybe make the lineup a little bit deeper, keep Tyrone Taylor from playing every single day and, whiffing at every single pitch that is offered to him when he's batting ninth. So again, I don't know. I think that's basically, it's whatever. I mean, yeah, Tyler Rogers, another outing. I mean, I don't know. Everything seemed to be on the ground. Like I said, I think I said on like that he was getting his ground balls. They found a hole. Like, I don't know. But then there was also some instances with this team that frustrated me a little bit. They were playing some guys to pull, and they're pitching away from it. Like, why? What was the point of that? We saw that with Minaya a lot, too. I don't know. Decision-making, not understanding it, or maybe just mislocation in general. Just not executing, which has been kind of the deal with this team and why they're in the current spot that they are in. So, yeah. Anyways, we can do even more complaining. We can break down so many different things, but I do want to get into a little bit more of the positive role because we've called out the top 4 hitters. We've talked about the managing, the coaching, the this, the that. I think that there's a category that we're all kind of missing a little bit, and that being the ones that are not to blame, the ones that have been very good for this team. They've been very, very solid for this team, and they've contributed for this team, that some guys that we kind of feel bad for, that their performances have kind of been wasted in this fact. So this brings me to a list. I haven't done these in a while, so let's get to Carson's top 5. And this is top 5 Mets players for now. This is for now, that are free of criticism based off of the performance that we have seen in this season recently. And I'm not saying that they're free of all criticism, but I'm saying free of criticism right now. Like, I don't want to toss them into the fire at all. I don't need to go after them because there's no real reason to. Anyways, so here's this top 5. We have 5 players that I am not going to go after that I think are free from criticism. Who knows? Maybe it changes. Maybe it changes at all. But let's start with a very, very obvious one. And that obviously being... yeah, okay. That obviously being Brooks Raley. This one's pretty self-explanatory. He just got back here. He's returning from Tommy John surgery, and it's like he's never left. The veteran side slinger has tossed 7 scoreless innings.
We could criticize his chin, though. What is going on there?
I don't know. What the fuck's going on there? 3.1 of them have been in high leverage situations already. His velocity is also up a tick and a half, now averaging 90.5 miles an hour on his sinker, with his sweeper back to averaging the 2,900 plus RPMs at 37 years old. Raley has been a good boost to a taxed Mets bullpen since returning. He was one of the best lefty relievers in all of baseball when he went under the knife, and now he still is one of the best. Number 4, we did talk a little bit about this guy of his, maybe a little bit of the leadership, but I think right now it's probably the best that you can get, and I'm going to put him on this list. Number 4 being Starling Marte. He may not be the same player that he was at age 36, but Marte has definitely adjusted to his new role at DH fairly well after a slow start to the season. As a part-time player, Marte has posted a 113 weighted runs created plus in 214 plate appearances this season, while also being one of the best players on this team with runners in scoring position, which is one of our main weaknesses. Contrary to popular belief, Marte actually leads this team in batting average and in batting average on balls in play, while also holding career bests in strikeout rate and walk rate. But we have said it plenty of times before. Is this overall value worth $20 million? It absolutely is not. Is he still a solid player? Sure. For all the contracts that I think have ended sour in Mets history, Marte is at least providing us something to applaud on his way out. This was already hinted in the chat, but number 3, Edwin Diaz. Sound the trumpets, my boy is back. After a shaky start to the year, Diaz has been on a roll since they perhaps cut his leg short because one of them was longer than the other. They got the chainsaw. I don't know. I don't really know what happened. But ever since then, Diaz has surrendered just 2 earned runs over his last 39 innings of work. Although he's not throwing as hard as he once did, he's still striking out 37.9% of batters this season with his walk rate under 10% and his patented razor blade sliders registering elite 45.9% whiff rate. Remember when everyone used to blame Edwin Diaz for everything in the Mets' existence? Well, you can't do that anymore. Leave my guy alone. He's been through enough. Number 2, David Peterson. If you were to tell me 3 years ago that David Peterson would be the Mets' most dependable arm in the starting rotation, I would have laughed in your face. But here we are. The Bulldog lefty has now turned in yet another great campaign this season. Yes, I know he wasn't as sharp yesterday, but he did exactly what he has done all year in that start, which other Mets starters have struggled to do, provide length. Peterson has pitched into the 6th inning in 18 of his 22 starts this season, posting a 2.98 earned run average, a 3.46 fielding independent pitching, and issuing a career low walk rate across 133 innings pitched. He will never have the best stuff in this rotation, but he by far has the best execution. So there is your list, Frank. There it is. I don't think we need, that's it. That's it, Frank. That's all we need. So what do you think?
Am I missing someone? I'm seeing 4 guys.
Do I really have to do a number 1?
Oh, I guess not. I mean, this is different. I guess this is Carson's top 4, not his top 5.
It's the top 4. I don't know, maybe the bottom 4 in the top 5?
Yeah.
Number 1.
There it is.
Jeff McNeil. Oh, yes. How could I forget? We all know Jefferson and I have quite the history that dates back multiple years. But all jokes aside, McNeil has had quite the bounce back season. Well, ironically, not really being vintage Jeff McNeil. Slashing 249, 347, 434 with a 120 weighted runs created plus across 293 plate appearances. McNeil has incorporated some more power into his game with the best version of himself that pulls line drives, which is this season he is doing at a 24.2% rate, only below his 2022 National League batting title year. With a top 5% sweet spot swing, say that 5 times fast, McNeil has been registering career bests in quality of contact while also walking at a career high 11.7% and maintaining great bat-to-ball skills. He's also expanded his defensive versatility even more this year with the injury to Jose Siri and the Mets saying goodbye to Drew Gilbert and not wanting to bring him up at all earlier this year. McNeil has played 178 innings in center field, a position he has not played before in his career, which has made him a very flexible option this season. Jeff, we may not say eye to eye, but there's been plenty of times this year where you were pissing me off the least out of anyone on this team. Who knew that that was actually possible? But there it is. Jeff McNeil at number 1. So there's your top 5. McNeil at number 1, Peterson number 2, Diaz number 3, Marte at number 4, and Brooks Raley at number 5. Everybody in the chat, I see the huge, I see plenty of chat bubbles popping up here. I'm sure everybody wants to go into what they think. But here's the thing. The Mets have had a lot of culprits this season. I'd say that out of all of them, this would be the 5. I wanted to put 2 hitters on here. It was really, really tough. But I feel like Starling Marte has been better than I thought he would be. And then we have number 1 who, you know, every time he flushes the toilet, we have to applaud him. So he's going to be there at number 1. Frank, tear it apart. It's all yours.
No, I mean, remember, we had McNeil on DFA watch beginning of the year. We thought that we had a bunch of second basemen between Acuna, with Beatty, possibly even Jet Williams. Like, we're like, oh, why'd you still have McNeil? You have, like, all these second basemen, and then they all were not good as Jeff McNeil. And then, like so mentioned, Chad, he was playing center field for a while. He's had to, be wherever the Mets need him to be. And because of Vientos not doing what he's supposed to, Alvarez, Beatty, all these guys, Jeff McNeil has been batting 5th, and just kind of by default. And Jeff McNeil, he's more suited for leadoff, but we have a whole team full of leadoffs, and Nimmo and Lindor get preferential treatment, so they bat leadoff. So he's just kind of been stuck at 5th because he's the team's 3rd best hitter statistically right now, behind Soto and Alonso. So that's just kind of where he's been. And for a while, he had his OPS over 800. It's dipped below that now, but I mean, he's still well above league average offensively, which, I mean, you definitely will take that from McNeil. He still does a really good job of not striking out, which is huge for this team when like nearly everyone has 100 strikeouts on the top 4 of the lineup. So having someone who actually puts the ball in play, especially for a team that struggles with men on base, is nice to see. Does he give you the quality of contact you want? No, but at least he makes contact. And
better quality of contact this year, though, I will say.
Yeah, but I
not
just
career
think,
highs, some of the best.
I think in general, like if we had to make this list like beginning of season, that like if we had to predict like who would be the top 5 that Carson wouldn't criticize, I mean, you have like, I think it'd be like the reverse. Like, you'd have 3 guys who Carson can't wait to criticize between Marte, Peterson, and McNeil. Like, those would be like his first targets. We knew Diaz would be on here, but to see the just the difference in expectations versus reality definitely is really nice. But Brooks Raley's been an awesome story for sure. I mean, it was really unfortunate the Mets lost him in the beginning of last season because we knew what kind of impact he could have, and then we lost him for year. Like, dang, I wish we still had Brooks Raley. And then we get him second half of season, and he's still a really, really good pitcher despite the age and the injury. So it's definitely been nice to still have Brooks Raley in the Mets bullpen. It kind of reminds me of like AJ Minter with like the way we lost Raley so early last year. We lost Minter so early this year. So we have Raley. I don't know if they'll be able to get back next year, but it would be pretty cool to have a bullpen of Raley and Minter next year. I think that would be like a nice thing to have, especially because like Gregory Soto, they're barely using him. So, I mean, we'll see what the future holds, especially with his age. But it's been a pleasant surprise. So I do like this list because, like you said, there's been so many guys who have underperformed that it's really hard to have 5 guys that you can't really complain too much about.
Yep. Matt's saying that Raley has a team option next year, obviously. Very team-friendly. Yeah. What a guy, Brooks Raley. Just what a guy. True patriot.
And that was a savvy move. I mean, because you knew that like he was going to miss half the season, so you do like those 1+1s, and if it works out, you pick up the team option. So I like that Stearns is that's called taking advantage of the market. That's not dumpster diving. That's just like really getting good value. So I really liked that move.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the status of his health, he took a while in that rehab, and it seems like it has paid off. He's not, in full swing just yet. But this is basically the same Brooks Raley that we were seeing before he got injured, a guy who makes quick work of hitters. And that's something that they need in that bullpen, whether they are building a super pen or not. He's almost about to pass his innings total from last year. So he's pitched 7 innings this year, and last year he pitched 7 innings and ended up getting hurt. So fingers crossed that he can stay healthy. But 37 years old, man, still got it. He still does. Again, like I said with Marte, I feel like it's been better than we thought. And, you already know my stance on this. I've said this before so many times before. The value that you're getting, what he is getting paid for the role that he is getting, it's definitely holding this roster up. It will. But that doesn't mean that I don't love the guy. I mean, I've talked about Starling Marte. He was one of my favorite players when he came into the league. And again, I think at least he's giving us something. So I'm not going to completely go after him as, well, he's just a bad DH. Well, he wasn't the one who gave out the contract. He's the one who signed it. So it's not one of those things where I can just, completely be mad at Marte. And I've never been someone who's mad at Marte. I've always been, with my, discussion of Marte, I've said I don't hate the player at all. I just don't like his contract. And that has nothing to do with him. He took advantage of a good contract that he got. Listen, if you were offered $78 million guaranteed over 4 years, you're taking it. You're going to take it. That's pretty easy. Some of you guys in the chat, let's see what you guys think of this list. JJ saying put Garrett on this list instead of McNeil. I mean, you could put him on there, but I think McNeil definitely deserves to be on there. If you don't think he should be at number 1, I don't know. You're just a hater of him, I don't know. Anyways, again, there's some comments out here that are trolling, like our co-host Andrew saying, what about Drew Smith and his 0 ERA? Thank you for mentioning that. Fantastic name. That really had to be said. Anyways, but yeah, I think McNeil deserves to not be criticized as of right now, and he should be he should be recognized for the good season that he has had. He's definitely had a really good bounce back season. Ray saying Diaz is been a bit shaky lately. Listen, we can go into the talks of Edwin Diaz and his struggles and his shortcomings, but we all know that's going to turn around. And even though it hasn't been very damaging, he's going to figure it out. He's going to be fine. This is a discussion I feel like we've had for too long. But there's the top 5. I don't know if there's any other notes you want to add here. I'll just pop it up one more time. But, I don't know. I don't think there's really many guys you can put in this category. But I think it's very notable that these 5 have been, they're free from being criticized. And like I said in parentheses, for now. Yeah, maybe think they do something bad.
I think I would consider replacing Marte maybe with Ronnie, only because of the knee injury. I feel like he got back. Maybe initially it took him a while to get back, but I feel like some of the power he's still shown in glimpses is really good for a guy coming off a torn ACL. So yeah, there definitely is potential.
He's been better than I thought he would be coming back.
So. Yeah, so I think for Ronnie, sure. I'll give him a year to get his power back for his legs, and then next year we'll see. But I think Ronnie would be the guy I consider.
Sure, that's somebody you can put on there. But all good picks, would you say? All good? Nothing too crazy?
Yeah. I love McNeil and Pearson 1-2 in a Carson list. I mean, that we got to take a picture
over
of it.
Edwin Diaz?
Yeah, this got to be a first. Maybe first and only.
Yeah. Carson only cares about narratives, right? Anyways, speaking of, let's move on. Let's start fresh. To the upcoming series against a really, really good Brewers team that will be in Milwaukee, a place that we are well known with for some historic moments last year. If they can repeat it, that would be cool. Actually, you know what? I hope they don't repeat it because it was a little bit stressful how it went in Milwaukee last time. But either way, Mets versus Brewers coming up tomorrow in Milwaukee. The Brewers just got done playing the Braves, and now they will play another NL East team, that being the Mets. So let's bring up these pitching probables. Kodai Senga will start Game 1, looking to shake off 3 consecutive rough outings, and he will be facing the fresh from surgery veteran right-hander Brandon Woodruff. First pitch will be tomorrow night at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time on SNY. Game 2, Frankie Montas will pitch in that game, but it will be likely that the Mets possibly will use an opener. He'll face right-handed rookie Logan Henderson, who is off to a really good start. First pitch is Saturday night at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time on SNY. And Game 3, Sean Manaea will start the series finale. It was supposed to be the series finale last year, right? Anyways, while still in ramp-up status, he'll face the 24-year-old breakout arm, Quinn Priester. I believe that's how you say it. First pitch will be Sunday afternoon at 2:10 p.m. Eastern Time on Pix 11. So there are your pitching matchups for this series. We know that this Brewers team is quite good. They've had a really, really good season. We know that they know how to win in the margins. They've been pests to us before. Even though we beat them in the playoffs, they were a kryptonite of this team, especially even at the end of the baseball season. They were able to pull it together off of no sleep from a doubleheader in, God, that was a crazy year last year. Crazy year, wasn't it? Nuts. Anyways, looking forward, like I said, ain't 2024 anymore. This Brewers team is probably going to be in the playoffs. They are, they are having a really good season. They are 7-44. They have the best record in all of baseball as of right now. This is a good team. This isn't, a team you got to completely overlook. We know that their offense could be more scrappy than powerful, but they are still really, really good. So, Frank, if there's anything that you want to add on this Brewers team, they're having a great season. Once again, sustainable winners.
They are sustainable winners, and one thing we know is that Milwaukee is always going to pitch really well. I mean, you're not facing Freddie Peralta in this series, but, I mean, just overall, it's a tough test for an offense that is struggling to go into Milwaukee and face a really good pitching staff in the Brewers, and they have good pitch rotation, good bullpen. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Mets offense reacts to this. It's not exactly what you want when you're struggling and you're cold, but you know what? The Mets, for some reason, they might just pull it out because they like to – all of a sudden they play the best team and they want to actually show that they could be good. Like, they're so random that maybe they actually do something. They might not, though. Like, with any series, like, anything is possible with them, unfortunately, because they are, like we say, consistently inconsistent. But when you go down the lineup, like, you just see guys who are having really solid seasons, even guys who weren't factors last year. I mean, you look at someone like Isaac Collins, who's having a really good year for them, or Andrew Vaughn, who's a Brewer now. Like, he's doing really well. And as you know, you mentioned, like, they just have the Churio, is going to be a problem, and Frelick and Terang, like, just so many guys they're going to be putting the ball in place. So it's a good test, as always, for the Mets defense. Like, we can't be throwing the ball in right field. Our catchers, we can't be having wild pitches, pass balls. You got to look for stolen base. I mean, we know, we just saw them in the postseason, and I'm very, very intrigued by the Frankie Montas matchup because he was on the Brewers last season in the playoffs, but now he is a Met. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup for sure, especially how Montas has pitched recently, because we still are trying to figure out, like, what is our playoff rotation. I mean, I still have doubts if Clay Holmes can make it through the season. I feel like I would try to kind of start so I can get Holmes into the bullpen sooner rather than later, but you never know. I mean, Holmes might be in the playoff rotation with how Montas is doing. So unless they call up unless they call up one of the rookies that, like we mentioned, Sproat, I mean, he's pitching really well lately. I wouldn't mind giving him this rotation, but for Montas, he really has to show something else. They have to be maybe looking at those young guys.
Yeah, it's do or die with Montas. Like, he's got to show us something. Like, he has to show us at least something of being a major league pitcher, because if he has another blow up after an opener starts for him, then we're going to talk about DFA. That's when we're going to start to talk about that conversation, and it's going to be a little bit steep because he obviously has the player option next year. So I don't know, but if, again, you can't be putting him out there every 5 days if he's just going to continue to melt like he is. He's just, he's a very grimacing pitcher to watch. No pun intended from last year.
He's not Grimace.
He's built like Grimace. Anyways, William Contreras, I know, he started off a little bit slow, not much in the power department, but he started to pick up recently. Rhys Hoskins having another good offensive season.
Rhys is injured right now. That's why Vaughn's
Rhys is injured.
First.
Oh, he's injured?
Yeah, thank God.
No. Bryce Terang has had a solid season as well, knows how to put the ball in play. He's quite a pest. Isaac Collins has had a really, really good year. He's been one of the best left fielders in all of baseball. Jackson Churio, we know the talent. Yeah, Churio we also know the talent of him, but apparently he's injured as well. Sal Frelick is a pain in the ass. Christian Yelich, not the MVP caliber he used to be, but still really, really good. Yep. Still a really good hitter. Andrew Vaughn, like you just said, coming out of nowhere and being a revelation DJ Stewart spark for this Brewers team. And then we also have a bullpen that doesn't have Devin Williams anymore, doesn't have Josh Hader, but still gets by because they have ridiculous, disgusting arms that they can just bring in at their disposal. Trevor McGill having a phenomenal season. Grant Anderson having a solid season as well for them. He's pitched the most innings, I think, out of their entire bullpen this year. Yeah, Abner Uribe, disgusting sinker baller.
54
Jared Koenig, Nick Mears is having the soft tosser. He's having a great season. Someone that has been talked about as someone who maybe the Mets should have picked up. He's having a really, really good year. Mazeroski is hurt, obviously, so we're going to miss him. We're not going to be facing him. But they have pitchers on this team. And let's not forget Brandon Woodruff, who's been actually pretty solid since he's come back from that brutal shoulder surgery that he had that made him miss the entirety of the year last year. So this is still a solid Brewers team that can give you a lot of fits. And, again, they have the pitching to match up with good hitting. And supposedly, this is supposed to be good hitting. And it hasn't been good hitting. So I don't know if they wake up now and they just, beat up good pitchers and they just want to suck against the bad ones, which makes absolutely no sense. But they better be up to the task here because this is a Brewers team that knows how to win in the margins. They've been doing it for years now, mainly because their ownership doesn't give them the resources for anything else. However, we always know they've had some really, really good pitching over these last few years. They may not be great in the playoffs, but you're playing them in the regular season. So here it is. This is a Brewers team, like we said, one of the best records in all of baseball. I don't know. You get swept, then we're going to have some rough conversations. Let's just say that. It's going to get even more rough than it already has. And today was not a fun episode to record. Let's just say that. We were not having fun at all. We were just screaming at the top of our lungs. In terms of OPS plus for this lineup, for this Brewers team, all of them over 100 except for Joey Ortiz, who is their shortstop, who usually bats ninth for them. So they have a consistent offense. I don't think it's October made, but it's a good offense. So they have a decent amount of departments that have contributed for them and maybe overperformed, but they're going to have to find a way to subside it a little bit. And that's the only way they're going to end up winning this series because this Brewers team, like we said, really good. They are really, really good. Best record in baseball. They can't be that bad, right? I guess. I don't know. I mean, the Mets had a really good record at the beginning, and they were playing like shit. So maybe there is things that Brewers fans could tell us about this team, that they're not that good. But from what I'm seeing from the outside, they've had a pretty good season. So, Frank, any closing remarks, anything that you want to else add on this series so everybody else can enjoy the rest of their off day and refresh from this team being a chore to watch recently?
Yeah, I mean, enjoy the rest of your off day because then we get back into the like you say, it hasn't been fun because like I said, there's not even energy in the team. They weren't even getting hits, so there wasn't much to look forward to. But with Milwaukee, they're always a great regular season team, so I do hope that like the Mets seeing a playoff team like for sure right in front of them, that it just they need something to motivate them. Like I said, there's been some energy concerns, so I'm just hoping that like being back in Milwaukee, seeing the Brewers, it just kind of makes like man, last time we were here it was the playoffs. Like let's get back to that and I just hope that they could really get the energy going and get back to where they're supposed to be.
We'll see. I hope so, because if not, if and none of this picks up, I don't care if they're a good pitching staff or not. We are going to get even more in depth on what needs to change. I think we all know what the biggest hint would be with that. We've already talked about it, but if it continues to get worse, it's going to continue to get worse, and they're going to miss the postseason if that happens. And I've already said that by the hands of this offense, that's going to be the reason why this team goes home. It's going to be. Whether people don't like the rotation or not, have questions about the bullpen, the offense is the make or break, because that's what this team is built around. Anyways, we're going to hop off. We've already gone past our 2 hours here, so thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Solid vent session, I'd say, from what we've been seeing on the field probably for this past month. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel and turn on those post notifications to not miss when we go live. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. We majorly features Frank's post-game analysis, instant reactions after every regular season game. You know, it's tough times right now, but we're here through it all. We will, if we haven't left yet, we're not leaving at all. Either way, enjoy the off day because everybody in this fan base needs it. And finally, let's go Mets. Please wake up. That's all I ask. And we will see you guys next time.